Business Planning and Management for Construction. This is the first webinar of the ABC Small and Emerging Contractor webinar series. I am Jen Huber, Director of Member Services at ABC National, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Today's presentation is being recorded and will last approximately 60 minutes. This presentation will be available on ABC's website. Please note all participant lines will be muted. You are welcome to submit questions throughout the webinar by typing in the question box located at the bottom of the sidebar and then clicking the send button. We will get to your questions during the Q&A portion of the presentation. You may also minimize and expand the GoToWebinar sidebar on the right side of your screen by clicking the red arrow in the top left corner. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Frida L. Thomas, MBA. Ms. Thomas is principal owner of a business management consulting firm. She has several years of experience developing, directing, and implementing plans to improve and expand an organization's market position and financial profitability. Thomas has conducted hundreds of presentations and seminars related to business training and development, and she's also a technical writer of business plans, loan packages, grants, and RFPs. Her certifications and training include a New York State Certified Business Advisor, NASBIT trained in global procurement, and a process improvement specialist. Please welcome Frida Thomas. Frida?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Jen. Hello, ABC members and other listeners. As a business consultant, coach, and advisor, I help companies improve their performance. I can produce your proposals, as Jen said. When you've got an RFP, a request for a proposal to fulfill, or a contract that requires a proposal, I can help you with that. And I can also help with succession planning and exit strategies. I work with companies within your industry and sectors on a day-to-day basis, and you see my contact information here. Please feel free to reach out and be in touch, and I'm glad to assist you in whatever way that I can. Next slide, please, Jen. Today, we will discuss the various types of legal structures, business planning and development, creating a human resource program for your company. We will also talk about succession plans and continuity, attorneys, accountants, and how they interplay in a strong enterprise. Professional associations like ABC, controlling and managing growth. We'll finish the discussion with Q&A, as Jen has stated. Now, many of you listening are saying, not such an interesting topic today, perhaps. Well, please stay tuned and bear with us, because I guarantee that you will learn something new. For instance, do you know about key man insurance and how critical it can be to maintaining continuity in your business? Next, Jim. As I talk about legal entities, I will tell you how each entity is formed, the tax responsibilities, the ease in dissolving, and how easy it would be to raise capital. Each legal status that I will cover has set-aside capability. And what does that mean? If you're looking for minority certification, no matter what legal structure you might have, you are able to have that capability. Now, why is this important? If you are securing a bond, if you're increasing your bond capacity, or if you're interested in growing, understand how your legal status will impact your growth, this is imperative. Your current formation may diminish opportunities in the future. Let's take a look at sole proprietorship. First of all, it's easy to create. It only takes one person to start a sole proprietorship. Taxes are filed under Schedule C, and revenue is treated as individual income. It's very easy to suspend a sole proprietorship. If the owner is unable to continue the business, then the business doesn't exist. A sole proprietor may find it difficult to raise capital and get the company valued because the company only exists as long as the principal is at the helm, and that's a tenuous position for sustainability and creating value within a firm. This legal structure is the least favorable for a company looking to grow. Why? Because if something happens to the sole proprietor, any contracts, securities, and future opportunities are considered at risk. Next. A general partnership. Okay, what is that? It's an agreement between two or more persons. According to IRS.gov, that's the Internal Revenue website, each person in the general partnership contributes money, property, labor, or skill. The partners also share the profits and losses of the business. So if you form a general partnership or a GP, you must file an annual tax form, Schedule K1, Form 1065. An advantage of the general partnership: profits or losses are shared by each partner passing through. That means each partner reports the income or loss on their tax return. It's easy to create a general partnership and relatively inexpensive to set up. Raising capital, just as in the case of a sole proprietorship, can be a challenge because a general partnership is treated much like a sole proprietorship. Let me say this: there are exceptions to these rules. I have worked with companies who have secured debt and equity positions under a sole proprietorship as well as a general partnership. In my second company, I received a small business administration loan as a sole proprietor. Lenders make loans to those with the ability to repay and companies with strong cash flow. Having said all of that, in most cases, your legal status will impact your ability to secure a bond, attract larger awards, and move your company up the food chain as you expand and grow. According to IRS.gov, there is one general partner in a limited partnership and one limited partner. The general partner maintains the partnership for an extended period of time. The limited partner is there on a short agreement in most cases. The general partner has liability, that's the GP, while the limited partner is only liable up to the amount he or she invests in the limited partnership. This type of structure is created when a company needs to raise capital. The limited partnership has the same tax responsibilities as the general partnership. That means passing through the gains or the loss on the individual income tax statements. This is a lengthy, complex, and expensive process because this arrangement is created by statute, not by the intentions of the persons involved. Make sure to follow the law and hire an attorney if you're interested in forming a limited partnership. Go to irs.gov and in the search box enter limited partnership to learn more. Next. Know your rights as the general partner or the limited partner in this arrangement, especially regarding solvency. Include a buy, sell, or buy out clause in your agreement. Buy sells describe what happens if an owner decides that he or she wants to leave the business, if that person dies or is forced to exit the company. Think of a buy-sell as a sort of premarital agreement where key man insurance is a different type of assurance, protecting your company in the event of death or the disability of the business owner. Key man provides peace of mind, ensuring that the business can continue operating without disruption should the owner or key person become incapacitated. Think about it, listeners. If death or disability were to strike your company, would your company survive? It's critical when you're talking about growth and presenting a business plan for growth. Next, please, Jen. C Corporation. It is the most popular and it has perpetual life. Perpetual existence gives a corporation permanence. It can be very expensive to establish because of the legal requirements that must be clearly stipulated. A C Corp or a general corporation, it means one and the same, is liable for its own debts. That means there is no pass-through as in the case of partnerships. And sometimes in the C corporation, there's double taxation. General corporations are first of all taxed on profits, and the shareholders are taxed again on the dividends from earnings. If you are not selling shares in your company, you don't have double taxation. Again, talk with an attorney before you form a corporation. It is difficult to create and dissolve. Raising capital is less arduous as compared to other legal structures because of the perpetual life of a C Corp. Next. The closed corporations means closely held and private, with shareholders who are acting like members of a family. You cannot sell shares on the open market in a closed corporation, and this entity is not available in all states. So if you're interested, make sure you do your research, talk to an attorney to ensure that a closed corporation is available to you in your particular location. Formation can be complex with issues like voting of shares and long-term employment for some of the participants and a power to veto. You can be taxed under subchapter C or subchapter S. Okay, those two entities are an option for you. Again, speak to an attorney to understand your tax obligations. Dissolving this entity can be difficult because of the issues that make formation complex. Next. The S corporation or subchapter corporations don't pay any federal income tax. This is one of the strongest benefits of an S corporation. Income or losses are divided among and passed through to its shareholders, where the shareholders report income and losses on their personal tax returns. In order to form an S corp, you must be a domestic company. That means no offshore divisions, listeners, or branches. Shareholders are allowed up to 100. Creating an S corporation is complex, expensive because of the rules about what shareholders can and cannot do. It's not easy to dissolve, and an S corporation can be expensive to set up. Raising capital is possible just like other corporations. Next. An LLC is a limited liability corporation. That's what LLC stands for. The advantages are the limited personal liability for the debts and actions of that entity. LLCs are also treated as pass-through entities. They are more like a partnership with no restrictions on the number of members. Many doctors and lawyers operate under an LLC. Set up and administering can get expensive. Do your research. Talk to an attorney when considering this structure. Next. One company listening in today might provide general construction services. Another listener provides electrical services, perhaps. The general contractor might create an alliance with the electrician in order to fulfill an award. That's where a joint agreement comes in handy. A joint venture or a JV can share in the revenue generated from a project. The joint venture shares in the expenses, which helps minimize the risk associated with a project. In a joint venture, you get to share and learn from one another. Example of successful joint ventures: Motorola, Verizon, AT&T. Motorola provides the hardware. Verizon provides the customer platform to sell the device. Joint ventures provide a place to create a single platform around a specific project. I have a client that owns a green janitorial business. She created a joint venture with a cement company, where that company needed a minority business to help secure a particular type contract. If you want to know more about joint ventures, go to docracy.com and review joint venture agreement templates which have been created by attorneys. Business planning is very important. Why? If you don't write things down to document where you're headed, you're susceptible to volatility, which is associated with a lack of planning. Doing the same thing and expecting different results is, well, kind of silly, isn't it? When you create a goal, you want to think about how that goal impacts your organization. Are you looking to increase sales by 40%? Why is that important? It might be important in order to give a bonus to loyal employees who haven't realized an increase in several years. It could also be important in order to access capital so that you can attract new opportunities. If you're not sure how to create goals or plan of action, it won't hurt to talk to me about how you can do that. At least you get new perspective and learn something that you didn't know before. Isn't that better than doing the same thing over and over again, looking at similar or less than favorable results? And later in the presentation, I'll talk about the importance of exit strategies as a form of goal setting. So please stay tuned. Your business plan should include a narrative as outlined here. If you're going to increase your capacity, perhaps you'll need a bond. And as a technical assistance provider under the Department of Transportation's bonding program, I can tell you, you will need a business plan. If you want to secure a bond or you're looking to increase your bond capacity, you will need these components in your business plan. So make sure to take a look at that and make note. Next. A key component of the business plan is the marketing section. I think it's the meat and guts of the plan, actually. You will include a description of your primary customer, describe your products, your services, your pricing, your promotional strategies. Next. Financials and the marketing section are the heart of any business plan. You will need to describe how your company generates revenue and how you minimize expenses. If you're looking for a loan or an investor, tell them how you will repay. Include your contingency and continuity plan. When I applied for a small business administration loan in my first business, I was able to secure it. The financials were the first section that my lender reviewed. So you can see how important your financial sections will be to your business plan. Next, Jen, please. Personal tax returns, 3 years of the business tax returns. Personal financial statements, and if you're wondering what is included in the personal financial statement, go to S as in Sam, B as in boy, A as in apple.gov. That's smallbusinessadministration.gov, and in the search box, enter personal financial statement and get a free copy of the application so you'll have an understanding of what is expected of you when you are producing that kind of document. Statistics showing the strength of the industry. You want to include licenses, certifications, and it doesn't hurt to add recommendations from customers and industry leaders. Listeners, if you don't have letters of recommendation, this is a good time to secure testimonials for your business plan as well as your website. If you know you need a business plan and you'd like someone to prepare the presentation for you, I'm glad to help. Next, please, Jen. Staffing and human resource policies are critical. Take the time to schedule training sessions for your employees. Ask for employee feedback. Help them get involved. According to Fortune magazine, one of the best ways to keep good employees is provide an opportunity for them to be critical. Evaluate their performance. Set standards for accountability. You can do this through an employee manual. And I know many of you are probably saying, how do you create an employee manual? Well, you could hire a consultant like me, or if your budget is restricted, go to the web and search free samples employee manuals. If you have a new hire, take the time to create a job description and a buddy system where a knowledgeable employee serves as a point person for the onboarding process. You can reduce a lot of anxiety with a new employee by helping to enhance that first experience with your company. Please try and schedule regular staff meetings as needed. If you are setting a goal for your company, get everyone involved. It ensures that they feel like they're being a part of what's going on, and it can certainly help to enhance your company's growth. Next, please. Compliance in the construction industry is critical. Minimum wage is now $7.25 in most states. Stay abreast, listeners, of federal employment laws, including prevailing wage requirements. I know of a company providing service that was providing a service under a contract as a certified minority business. While providing that service, their MWBE certification expired, and guess what? That company was prohibited from continuing to work until the certification was secured. That's why we must maintain compliance, listeners. Next. What is succession? Is it leaving the business to a family member, preparing for a merger or acquisition? Details regarding the legal and financial steps you want to take if partners exit the business. Financial institutions, surety companies, look for quality succession plans. Succession planning preserves the company and it maximizes the value of the company, allowing for the transfer of ownership in responsibilities to someone else. An exit strategy is a form of transferring ownership, should that be your objective. Next. Now, when we're talking about exit, let's say your succession plans includes exiting, and I certainly highly recommend that you have an exit strategy. How will you reach your prospective buyer, the people you are looking to buy your company, or the company that you want to purchase your company? I can introduce you to brokerage firms and listservs to get your company sold. I can vet on your behalf. How will you finance through the deal? I'm sure many of you may not know it, but selling a business oftentimes requires some financial terms. So here are some potential ways of financing and securing the deal. Through a leverage buyout, that's where the buyer purchases just everything, your assets, your debts, and your stock. Through seller financing, which is an agreement by the seller, that would be you're selling your company, right, to receive part of the purchase over time as opposed to a lump sum of money. This is the most popular way to exit and the quickest. And if you want to know more about exiting, please be in touch, and I'm glad to help. Next, Jen. Take some time to think about what will happen to your company if you are faced with a natural disaster, pandemic situation, or something like a power outage. I'm located in New York, and I can tell you, after Superstorm Sandy, I went into a continuity plan to ensure that my data is backed up, that I have reserves in terms of critical information out in the cloud. The cloud is the internet. So you want to assign duties and appoint a business continuity planning team. This could be a part of your continuity plan. Include in that emergency contact list. Contact information for your internet technology company, the fire department, ambulance, security, utility companies, building maintenance, and other emergency service center locations. You will also want to collect contact information, the phone numbers, emails of persons that you might need to contact for your employee. If you have a power outage, would you have a backup power arrangement? Plan for alternative communication strategies to help you communicate. I have a client who is going through transition, not relative to disaster, but they were integrating a whole new technology and their phones went dead for several hours. What kind of contingency would you have in place should something like that happen to you? Do you have an alternate place to operate your business? As I said, in the case of Superstorm Sandy, where essential equipment and services for a backup would exist. Establish a chain of command with step-by-step processes for a recovery program. Make available, if you can, for everyone, hard hats, flashlights, and anything else you need in case of an emergency. After the 9/11 tragedy, as I said, I live in New York. I was working in a building on the 38th floor. Management made emergency kits available to everyone with high-density flashlights, ropes, and other emergency aids. You want to talk with an insurance provider to determine what they recommend as contingency and what they will cover. Conduct emergency evacuation drills. Determine how will you protect inventory and equipment. This goes back to insurance protection. And post your emergency plan at every location. Make it visible for everyone. Next. The business team. Your team should include these professionals. In my second business, when I first started, I had a great relationship with my bank branch manager. One time I needed to get cash to cash a check quickly from a client, and my branch manager cashed that check for me on site. Why? Because he knows me and we had developed a relationship, and because of that I was able to travel to a trade show with great ease. Without a good relationship, that trip and getting access to cash when I needed it would not have been possible. So you can understand the importance of building strong business teams. Next. Your construction accountant should know about bookkeeping systems. The right professional will help you select the accounting software that is best for your type of business. They can help you secure lines of credit. That's what LOC stands for. And show you how to gain access to a surety bonding program. I can also introduce you to bond producers. As I stated, I am a technical assistance provider for the Department of Transportation's bonding education program. This person, your construction accountant, makes themselves available to you as needed. If you do not have this type of relationship with your accountant, this is probably as good a time as any to reassess your relationship. Next, please, Jen. Corporate construction lawyers are expert at construction law, and as you look to improve your business, having an informed and a knowledgeable team will help circumvent challenges. Your construction lawyer can review and interpret legal documents and sometimes contracts on your behalf. They will advise regarding compliance issues. They can share bankruptcy concerns if this applies to you, and they can also help you with surety claims. Next, please. Your banker can be your credit reference. They can establish lines of credit or bridge loans. And in case you're not clear about what a bridge loan is, let's say that you need cash flow in order to ensure that you meet payroll and you're under contract for a particular obligation. If the bank understands that the person who will be providing you revenue associated with that contract has a strong rating, that they have a strong probability of paying you, they could allow you a bridge loan. And generally a bridge loan serves as a short-term loan, something you would pay back to the bank in perhaps 30, 60, maybe even up to 90 days. Your banker can also help you set up money market accounts, certificates of deposit, payroll accounts. You don't have to be an expert regarding every aspect of business, listeners. That's where your team comes to play, and they help you resolve some of your critical decisions. Your team should also have ample experience to help you grow your business to the next stage. So a startup lawyer or accountant is probably not the best person if you're looking to grow, okay? Next, please. The surety bond producer. What is a surety bond producer? Surety bond issuers are, it's a kind of insurance company or a guarantee, like a bank guarantee, that provides a guarantee on satisfactory completion of a project by a contractor. Your bond producer guarantees your performance through a type of insurance. They can also help with plans to grow the business, including discussions on cash flow and financing. That's a pretty good bond producer there, doing all those magical things. Okay, next please. Choosing the right insurance agent is critical to your business. And why is this important? Because today's discussion is all about business planning. Your agent should be informed regarding your type of industry, and they should help you develop a comprehensive plan that can meet your needs for the life of the business, not just today, listeners, but anticipating growth. They should be able to help you anticipate the type of coverage you will need as you evolve. This agent should also discuss how you mitigate risk. Going back to that continuity plan, right? Next, please. Now, I have 3 mentors who are more successful than I, and regularly I get on the phone with them to talk about issues. It is very important to find a mentor, I believe, more successful than you are, in order to ensure that you have a focus on growth that exceeds your current condition. A professional association mentor might be someone you meet or have met at an ABC event. This person or persons is your advisory board through an informal or a formal relationship. Next. Professional associations like ABC can help you by providing training opportunities just like this webinar. They provide resources for safety tips, legal advice, and sometimes professional associations support your interests at the legislative level. ABC does that. Professional associations bring valuable sources of knowledge and experience, and oftentimes provide savings through affinity programs. They can provide opportunities to help increase your access to information. They help to enhance your image with business peers and clients. They give your company a visible platform to showcase your ability in a manner that might not be possible without the association. Next. A clearly defined growth strategy can help you manage growth. The construction industry, many other industries, because I know many callers on the line today are not related to the construction industry, but these are challenging times in our economy. A growth plan will help you maintain the volatility that is associated in the marketplace today. How will you measure your return on investment? That's what ROI stands for each project. How will you determine whether or not each project you are looking to attain is going to be profitable or not? Writing things down will help you assess the key indicators for growth. On the ABC website, you can access wonderful industry reports presented by FMI, that's Frida Mary Israel. FMI is a consulting firm to engineers and construction workers. The report showed the growth sectors and trends. It is critical to know these things in order to tap into new opportunities. Next, please. And if you would like help and you know you want more than a repeat performance of last year, I can help you with a growth strategy focused on new opportunities for expansion, succession planning, exit strategies. I have created growth strategies and counseled people in your industry as well as others. Yes, I have, and I will be glad to have you talk with clients who will attest to my capabilities. So here's my offer. Next, Jen. The lady in this picture, that's me, and I'm available to take your calls, but you must act now. This is an offer for the next 24 hours. You must act to take advantage of this deal. 20% off my service fee for the creation of a strategic growth, succession, exit campaign for your wonderful company. You can call me, email me, phone, send a message through Twitter, LinkedIn. I was about to say Facebook, but I took my Facebook page down to say because someone had pilfered it. Welcome to the world of social media. And let me know your needs, and I will be glad to support those needs. If business as usual is good enough for you, well, you won't be calling me, right? But if you have a bigger goal and you want to put a strategic growth plan, a succession plan in place so that you can look forward to having the kind of retirement you've always dreamed of, be in touch. I'd love to help business. I love to help business owners reach their goals. Next, Jen, please. If you want to sign up for my company newsletter, contact me at email info@consult. That's Frida Lynn Thomas, FLT.com. In the subject, sign me up for newsletter. Please add that. This concludes my presentation. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. Jen, would you like to take questions now?
Sure. Thanks, Frida. I'll give folks a few minutes to use the question box to complete your questions. In the meantime, just want to remind everyone that this webinar will be available on ABC's website, abc.org, in our Academy for Construction Ethics, Compliance, and Best Practices. So you will have access to the slides as well as the recording. So feel free to use the question box to submit any questions. We'll give folks a couple minutes. And
Okay.
just a reminder that this is the first webinar for our Small and Emerging Contractors webinar series. Our next webinar will be next Tuesday, April 9th. Fringe Benefits Compliance Overview will be the topic. So you can check out the full schedule of webinars, again, on our website, abc.org. So it doesn't look like we have any questions, Frida. Oh, hold on a second here. We do.
Okay.
What are some of the best onboarding practices?
So you've got a new employee. I'll share with you one of the techniques that a client of mine used. They created a buddy system. So when that new employee comes to your location, that person goes directly to a point person within your organization, and that person tells them everything they need to know about getting their computer signed up, the technology, how to set up the voicemail, who to contact in tech support if you have those kind of programs in place. And for the first 2 weeks that employee is there, that person is there to nurture them, to ensure that as they enter your new environment, they feel comfortable, they feel relatively at ease. Because let's face it, all of us know what it's like to go into an unknown environment and be new and be the focal point and not knowing anyone. So you want to ensure that you're doing the kinds of things that make it relatively easy and comfortable for a person who's coming to within your organization to join you.
Great, thanks. Our next question is an employee policy manual necessary? Are there any alternatives to a manual?
What I would say to that is you could probably refine a manual to your needs, but we're talking about business planning and growth. That's what this particular webinar is all about. Perhaps your perception of what an employee manual entails is not as involved or as extensive as it might require for your particular organization. And I would bet, Jen, and the person asking this question, if you were to go out on the internet and just search for employee manuals, you could potentially find one that meets your needs. And if it's too largesse, you could tailor it to your needs. So my answer is try not to think of things in terms of how do you get around making it a challenge, but figure out what you can do with materials that may be available on the web to ensure that they meet your needs, not just for right now, because hopefully as your company grows, so will your needs in terms of an employee manual.
And I also can comment that ABC has a model employee handbook that I can post on our website once we archive this webinar to our site, so you'll have access to that information as well.
Great. The value of webinars, right, Jen?
Right. Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Okay.
For a family-owned LLC, is it better to be taxed as an S-Corp or convert the company to a corporation C-Corp?
And please tell me, for what purposes would it be better? What are you looking to achieve? That would be the major objective, right? So you're now an LLC and you're considering another legal entity in what regard? What do you want to accomplish?
Okay, I'll see if that person responds. We'll jump to the next question.
Okay. And that if that person's still listening, feel free to send me an email and we can follow up as well that way.
What percentage of ownership can a joint venture be? For example, can it be 90% and 10%?
No, it's a 50-50 arrangement, the JV. That's when, and when the content of the webinar is posted, you can go back and visit the details. But the JV is everything is split right down the middle. The liability, the revenue, you share that 50-50, whatever requirements are needed in order to get that joint venture up and running. Both parties involved in the JV share in those responsibilities.
Great.
And please go to docracy.com and look at the template. These are templates created by attorneys. They are the real deal, listeners. So if you want to ensure that you are following content in terms of legal requirements, Docracy can help you in this regard.
Great. We have a few more questions.
Okay.
What are some best practices for drug and alcohol-free workplace?
Ooh, you know, I have to tell you, quite honestly, listener, I don't have much experience in that regard. So my reference point for everything is google.com. So
that's something ABC can help out with too, because
great.
Safety is one of our #1 priorities, and drug and alcohol-free workplaces right up there. So I can help the listener with that. I'll follow up with the listener on that.
Okay, awesome. So you see, listeners, there is great value in having these affiliations, right? There are so many resources that Jen has that you can have access to. Great question.
The listener that was asking about the LLC has responded, and
yes.
She responded, for the purposes of not having the profit losses taxable individually or passed through individually, taxes on dividends less, she's asking.
Okay, so what's the question, the original question, whether subchapter S or chapter C was best? Was that the question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so again, I would go back and talk to your attorney. Hopefully you have an attorney, and ask them, based on what you're looking to achieve right now, which legal structure would be best for you.
Great.
I don't like to answer questions in areas where I don't have expertise, so I always want to go to the experts and ask, because based on your particular kind of company, an attorney and the industry in which you follow, an attorney is going to be, hopefully your attorney is skilled and informed so that they can say, okay, by your doing this, this is how it's going to affect your tax responsibilities.
Great. Frida, would you mind repeating the joint venture website, and could you spell it, please?
Sure. So for any legal documents, there is a wonderful company here in New York called D as in David, O as in Oscar, C as in cat, R as in rabbit, A as in apple, C as in cat, Y as in yellow, docracy.com. And once this content is uploaded to the ABC website, you will see that organization embedded in that slide related to joint venture. At docracy.com, you do have to sign up for the service, although it is free. They will only ask for your email information, and they are not sharing that content with anyone else. But you go there, give them your email address, and you can enter their search stream, and at the search box you want to enter joint venture agreement, and you will find templates. You can find templates related to just about any legal dynamic that you're looking for.
Great. One last question. For a multi-state contractor company, what would be the best structure?
Multi-state contractor company. Can they tell me more? So they have multiple locations.
Correct. So they do work probably across states, and they probably have locations in more than one state.
Okay, so I would say a general corporation, right? A C Corp would probably be the best entity. However, again, you know, as I've said throughout this presentation, make sure that you speak to an attorney to understand what your legal requirements are in terms of taxation, following the statutes of the law, how all of these things impact your particular business, okay? Because we don't want to make broad statements that this is best for you without understanding more detail about your company. And listeners, what I would like to add is the reason why this particular presentation is so important is because we want to ensure that you are thinking beyond this moment. That's why it's about business planning, right? So you may be in one particular situation right now, but start thinking about where would you like your company to be within the next 5 to 10 years. And then make the decision regarding what type legal structure is going to be the most effective for your potential growth.
Great. Well, I think that's all for the questions. So on behalf of ABC, I would like to thank our presenter, Frida Thomas, and also our audience for participating. Again, this webinar will be archived on the ABC Academy for Construction Ethics, Compliance, and Best Practices, which can be found under the Education and Training section of our website, abc.org. You can also visit the site for more information about the ABC Small and Emerging Contractors webinar series. Our next webinar will be Fringe Benefits Compliance Overview, which will be next Tuesday, April 9th at the same time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Today's webinar is copyright 2013 by Associated Builders and Contractors with all rights reserved. Thank you again, and you may now disconnect.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.